Alright people, so welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to this lecture series called Economic Survey. And now we have covered almost half of this particular document. It's a very important document. We have discussed about this. Today we are going to discuss chapter number 7. And chapter number 7, unlike chapter number 6 which dealt with agriculture, chapter number 7 is going to basically deal with the engine of India's economic growth, and that is services sector. And how has services sector stayed resilient in this globally uncertain environment? Okay, so we are going to basically focus on services sector. But before I start this, if you are in our Prelims Powerplay batch and if you are in our WhatsApp groups, I've made a certain announcement that we are going to launch a 90-day batch for prelims, okay, in which we will cover everything for prelims. The entire static portion, all the subjects, polity, economy, geography, everything. Okay, we will cover all the current affairs. We will cover CSAT. And in this 90-day study plan, you'll get to practice more than 7,000 MCQs plus 20 plus tests. Now, this batch would be complimentary for all you Prelims Powerplay students, so you don't have to worry about as far as the money is concerned. But yes, the batch would be really beneficial. Okay, so stay tuned for the videos. I'll further announce more things. Okay, I'll share the timetable of the batch with you. The batch is going to start on 23rd of February. By the way, if you still have any questions, well, you have access to those WhatsApp groups, so do let me know about them. Okay, but let's focus on finishing economic survey. So we will straight away dive into this chapter, that is chapter number 7. All right, okay then. So services, the engine of stability and transformation. Now you all know that our entire economy, India's economy, can be divided into 3 sectors: agriculture and allied activities, which we discussed yesterday. Then there is industrial sector, and then there is services sector. Okay, generally we use the terminology primary sector for agriculture, secondary for industry, and services for that we use the term tertiary sector. Okay, now you should know this, that India's economy, more than 50% of India's GDP comes from services sector. Services sector is the engine of economic growth. I'm so sorry. Engine of economic growth as far as India's economy is concerned. And if services sector is undergoing a downturn, India's economy undergoes a downturn. But this time around, India's economy is doing well. That means services sector has a lot to do with that. Okay. Now, how has services sector stayed resilient? Whereas the services sector of USA, China, and many other economic titans, well, their services sector has been suffering. But India's services sector has not only basically stayed resilient, it has grown manifold. And it is improving qualitatively also. Not just in GDP terms, quantitatively, it is also improving in qualitative terms as well. Now, what do we mean by qualitative, quantitative? We'll investigate all these things, okay, in this chapter. So let's begin. So yeah. So India's services sector from shock absorber to global powerhouse. Now, what do you mean by shock absorber? Basically, when the entire Indian economy is undergoing a downturn, agriculture sector, industrial sectors, they are suffering. Somehow, services sector protects us and it continues to contribute towards India's GDP growth rate. Hence, we call it shock absorber. But today, it is a global powerhouse. Remember, I told you we are not just adding on quantitatively, we are also improving qualitatively. Okay. The global economy faces stagnation in goods trade and geopolitical headwinds. So global trade in goods is suffering, but global trade in services, especially for India, is booming. Okay. In contrast, India's services sector has emerged as a high growth, low volatility. Low volatility means that it is not volatile. In a sense, it is not undergoing too many flip-flops. Okay. It is stable. Low volatility anchor, now driving structural transformation. And by this structural transformation, I am referring to the same thing, that qualitative change that I was talking about. Okay. Now, what is this qualitative change? Okay. Number one thing about services sector is its resilience. Services sector contribute more than 50% to India's GDP and 51.7% of net payroll additions, net new formal jobs created. Okay. 51.7% of the new jobs created, formal jobs, were in services sector. So it is an employment generator as well. Not that much, but still. Okay. And there is this structural qualitative shift. Okay. Moving from back office support to high value global capability centers. Remember, we talked about this yesterday also and day before yesterday also. It's not just earlier India's services sector was dominated by IT BPO services, call centers and all. These are back office support. But now we are giving high quality talent, highly skilled labor force also, including AI. Okay. Commercializing the orange economy, space and ocean. Now, these highly skilled services, some are space related services, ISRO and many other private space companies, ocean based services, okay, and orange economy. Now, today you will be learning a new term called orange economy. What do we mean by orange economy? Well, this is the creative economy. Orange economy is also part of services sector. And what is this creative economy? Well, entertainment services, media services, concerts, music concerts, digital media services. These are all part of creative economy, right? So this is being booming. This is being booming. That's not the correct phrase, but this is booming right now. Okay. Media industry is booming. Entertainment industry is booming. Content creators are booming these days. All of this contributes towards creative economy or the orange economy. So remember, orange economy means creative economy. Okay. And this is also booming. Now let's talk about each and every aspect of services sector one by one, okay? Outperforming the global trend. That means that as compared to pre-pandemic levels, before pandemic, well, China, UK, US and globally also, the entire world is behind what it was during pandemic. And we are talking about services sector. So all these big shot countries and many others globally, there has been some deceleration in services except India. India is a complete outlier. India's services sector is still growing. Good news for India. Thumbs up for India. Right? Next, global hub for trade and investment. Okay. Now, trade and investment occurs in all three sectors. There is trade and investment in agriculture, there is trade and investment in industry, there is trade and investment in services. We do trade services and we do get a lot of FDI, foreign direct investment or foreign institutional investment in services sector. Now, let's focus on services sector when it comes to trade and investment. Okay. So 10% of services exports as a percentage of GDP. The total amount of services exports we do, it amounts to 10% of India's GDP. So 10% of India's GDP comes from services exports alone. Then globally, where all the countries are exporting services, India's share is 4.3%. So 4.3% of global exports and services come from India. Then 80% of total FDI inflows is coming into services sector. So the big source of FDI is services sector. It's because of services sector that India is receiving a lot of FDI. Okay, so services sector is contributing a lot. All right. Plus, services sector these days is also providing employment, formal employment. Okay, this is very important for you to know because generally services sector is not considered to be labor intensive. What do you mean by labor intensive? That per economic output, okay, per unit economic output, how much employment is being generated. Now, agriculture is quite labor intensive. Even industrial sector is very labor intensive, quite labor intensive. But services sector is not known to be labor intensive. Okay, especially the high value services, AI, big tech. But some services are labor intensive. For example, transport services. They are quite labor intensive. Nonetheless, the overall services sector has contributed to economic growth as well. Percentage employed in tertiary sector. Remember tertiary services. 30% is from, well, 30% of total employment is in services sector. So that's quite significant. Not majority, but quite significant. Okay. Then share of services sector in net payroll additions, new jobs, formal jobs. It's 51.7%. So it's there. Okay. In services sector is contributing even in employment as well. Okay. Then IT, information technology and IT enabled services, the back office support, call centers and all. Now, remember I told you that there is this qualitative shift. So earlier India was known as India is still known as the office of the world. Okay. China and India both have this distinction. China is known as the factory of the world. But India is known as the office of the world. Why office? Well, by factory, basically it means that China makes the goods consumed by the rest of the world. China is a big goods manufacturer, whereas India is the big service provider. Which kind of services? Office support services like call centers, some freelancers or some back-end support. India provides that. So that is why India is a giant in this area. That is why India is known as the office of the world. Okay, we must have discussed this earlier also. Now, earlier India used to provide low-level services like again call centers, BPOs, all these. But now big tech companies are opening global capability centers in India, hiring not just lowly skilled call center people. They are hiring highly skilled AI professionals, consultants, all these people. So these global capability centers are mushrooming in India. Big tech companies of the world, big MNCs of the world are opening global capability centers because they are attracted by the talent India has to offer. Okay, so this is a good news, and they are generating a lot of revenue. All these facts are there. So this is an example of the qualitative change in the kind of services we are providing. You understand? Okay. Next, the new frontier of services, artificial intelligence, the new export multiplier. How this AI technology is an export multiplier? Because it enhances the value of your service. AI aids to the value of your service. AI adoption is decoupling growth from headcount. Generative AI explosion. Active generative AI startups rose 3 times in 1 year. AI intensive services exports grew by 39.5% faster than non-AI sector. So non-AI sector services, well, AI related services are being exported way more than that. I mean, the growth rate is high. Okay, so AI is a force multiplier, export multiplier. Yes, another service is tourism, and tourism is also booming in India. But earlier, India used to focus a lot on foreign tourism. But now, even Indians love to travel. Okay, and that is pretty evident in terms of ticket sales. Domestic tourism has boomed. Domestic resilience. Visits increased by 17.5%. Domestic tourism is now the backbone of hospitality sector. What is this hospitality sector? Hotels, restaurants, five-star hotels. Domestic tourists are occupying them. They are surviving because of domestic Indian tourists. Because now Indians' pocket size has increased. They are ready to spend on tourism. So this is why hospitality sector is surviving because of domestic tourism. There is another part, or there is another constituent of tourism, and that is medical tourism. And India basically is the center for medical tourism because in India, medical services are cheaper than in the developed countries. So many people from developed countries for hospitalization or for any treatment, they come to India. Okay, many NRIs cannot afford medical care in US, UK, Canada. So they come to India for that. This is an example of medical tourism, and India's medical tourism is still quite high. So these two things are supporting tourism sector as well. Again, tourism is part of services. Okay. The next, physical backbone, ports, rail, aviation. So ports, infrastructure, railway infrastructure, aviation infrastructure basically supports transport services and logistics services. In the past many years, in the past decade, government has doubled down as far as investment in these logistics sector is concerned. Government has been investing a lot in ports, Sagarmala program, railways, aviation. And this has improved the services provided by these areas. For ports, turnaround time has reduced 43 hours to 30 hours. Okay, turnaround time has reduced. So when a ship lands to a port, offloads its goods and goes back, this entire time is known as turnaround time. It involves loading, offloading the cargo, customs clearance, everything. Now, earlier, because ports were being managed inefficiently or they didn't have enough capacity, the turnaround time in India was high, but this has reduced. So, gives a boost to shipping transportation sector. Then, freight loading on trains has increased. Passenger traffic on aviation has increased. Air cargo has increased. Digitalization of logistics is integrating these services into global supply chain. Overall, very good news for India. Make sense? Next, real estate, another constituent of services sector, also undergoing a boom. You must know about this. All around you, property prices are rising. Real estate sales are booming. So again, a big boost. Yes, the orange economy, creative economy, the new services sector. Okay, this has been booming. First of all, content creation has increased. Look at OTT platforms, YouTube, gaming platforms, VFX exports. All of this is on the rise. I mean, exponential rise. And then concert economy. Concerts, ticket sales, music concerts, all these are rising. Okay, Book My Show app is running very high revenues. People are booking comedy shows, stand-up comedy. All of this is happening. So this is really great. And this has spillover on the hospitality sector, because if you'll go to attend a concert, you'll book a nearby hotel also. So everyone is gaining out of it. Restaurants are increasing their sales. So it's a big boost to the services sector. Things are improving. Okay. Yes, commercializing final frontiers. So now space sector has been monetized. We are selling commercial services, satellite services, launch services, even ocean sector. Space economy's target is 44 billion in 10 years. India launched 393 foreign satellites, rise of private, new space ecosystem, and blue economy also, ocean economy, ocean related services, marine related services. You can read this. The notes are there, and the notes will be a little more. So do focus on that as well. Then strategic enablers. The reason why we are able to improve our services exports, because we are signing deals with certain countries. So India UK comprehensive economic trade agreement. Okay, this included services trade agreement. This has increased our services exports to UK. Then similar with Oman. Then many other reforms. Okay, then there are some domestic reforms also. Data center policies. All these big tech companies, AI companies, they require data centers for their back-end operations. Now, India is providing, or India has undergone some reforms so that data centers can mushroom in India. Yes, data centers require a lot of electricity, and this might contribute to climate change. But India is providing green energy to these data centers because of these reforms. Okay. Plus, to reduce bureaucratization, ease of doing business, single window clearance is there. All of this is there. Okay. The next, yes, this is very important. You're learning a new term, and that is servification paradox. Now, what do we mean by servification paradox? Listen to me very carefully. Well, the thing is, all these big manufacturers, let's suppose there is this car manufacturer. Now, these car manufacturers also use a lot of services. These car manufacturers also invest in a lot of services, because these cars are now full of software. Software service providers are there. Okay, maintenance service providers are there. Then there are repair service providers. So all these are services inputs that are required to manufacture a good car. Yes. Now, this is the paradox part. The companies who invest a lot in these input services for their goods, manufactured goods, do not see a commensurate increase in their revenue. By that I mean that there are certain companies who want to improve the quality of their product for their consumers. For that, they invest a lot on services with their products. But that extra investment in these services does not increase their revenue by that proportion. This is the paradox with these company owners, who think that by providing extra services along with these products, well, their revenue would also increase, but that is not increasing. So this disincentivizes them to invest more in these services. Now consumers would be at the receiving end. This is the servification paradox. High value tech growth does not automatically create mass employment, because there is no sales increase. Okay. Plus, there are skill gaps as well. Cybersecurity, AI, and exports are also low because of Donald Trump's tariff policy, global protectionism. So this is the thing. And the last, way forward. Innovation-led transformation. The roadmap is bridge the skill gap between tech output and workforce capability. So the kind of skills demanded by the industry and the skills Indians have. First, step one would be India would bridge this skills gap. This means Kaushal Vikas Yojana or Skill India mission. Then data centers as infrastructure and boost to blue and orange economies. And then speed. By signing many trade agreements, India wants to increase services export. So using services sector, India can reach the goal of 2047 Vikasit Bharat. Right? Make sense? Okay. Services are no longer just a stabilizer. They are the primary driver of India's structural shift towards a high-value, digitally integrated economy. All right. And that would be all. On that note, we'll be I conclude today's lecture and I would be signing off. But I hope, because this lecture was pretty easy, so I hope you understood each and every aspect of it. But still, if there are any doubts, do use the WhatsApp groups judiciously, ask your doubts. Okay. Please do not forget to memorize this chapter from the notes provided by us. Notes are very important. Memorize them. Okay, it will really serve you well for your prelims examination. On that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again with another chapter in this lecture series called Economic Survey. Thank you, everyone. And stay tuned for Phoenix batch. Thank you, everyone.